Homeland Siege. There's a whole lot before you even get to the find some of these things to read and then talk about some for a while. I can use this book for about 2 years, the way I read and comprehend. Let's read the preface. See how far I can get before I have to make my comment about it. But this is excuse me. Within the United States government, terrorism has become nearly synonymous with Muslim extremism. Yet, there are many kinds of fanatics, and those Islamists are not the first to push their agenda through terror. After the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, Lenin and his communist henchmen only managed to coalesce their fellow Russians into a red state by executing all who wouldn't cooperate. After Lenin was nearly assassinated in 1918, his secret police applied the Red Terror. This was nothing more than an extrajudicial campaign of mass arrests in which suspected foes of the state could be legitimately tortured or killed. Over 250,000 Russians were to die in this internal house cleaning. From 1918 to 1922, 8 million more perished in fighting between red and white forces and its concurrent class conflict. Throughout Lenin's time in office, he remained a staunch believer in mass terror. Then his record of brutality was eclipsed by his successor, Uncle Joe Stalin. From 1922 to 1953, somewhere between 20 and 43 million people succumbed to Uncle Joe's psychopathic rule. And sadly, Stalin's legacy still lives on today. Russia's new state-appointed textbook would assert that Stalin acted entirely rationally during his many purges. Of course, the Soviet Union is not the only communist nation to have taken such a horrific approach to governance. China has also depended for the abject loyalty of its mass population on the implicit threat of death. That's why 25 to 58 million of its citizens ceased to exist from 1946 to 1976. Since the end of Mao's Cultural Revolution, an additional 20 million were quietly expired in the Chinese labor camps. Though no longer openly antagonistic towards the West, the People's Republic of China is still run by the same one-party system that it had in 1950. Thus, for any terroristic threat to America, there is always the possibility of communist instigation. That was one of my, I said that 2 or 3 months ago, or I have been saying that. China, and I mean, if you think of all the situations going on now, we're over here in the Middle East, right underneath, right in China's back door now. All these people are very crucial to China, but we're over there fighting the wars. A lot of these situations China could be influencing, but they're not, because it's their advantage to have us out there doing all the cleaning up and dirty work so they can come in and look like the good guy. You know, and y'all keep buying all that Chinese stuff so they can keep having all that money. You know, you keep the thing going, but they haven't changed their thought pattern. They, you know, still think of the one. So like we have here, you know, our two-party system ain't much better than their one-party system because both parties have, to some degree, became so much alike. It's all a matter of who gets the credit for what gets done. From my understanding, and from what I've read, there's a lot of things that Obama did and the Democrats were doing that are just like pages straight out of the daggone Republican book as to who gets the better benefit and who continues to keep having the status quo be the status quo. They're both on about the same package. They're both getting paid by the same group. And they both listen to the group that's giving them the most money more than they listen to the group that actually put the vote in the box. That goes back to your electoral college and all your misrepresentation that you say you're supposed to have a representative government that you don't have. You're not being represented on a fair, just base.